Hello friends, welcome to the Grace and Bacon YouTube channel. My name is Jessica, and in today's video we will be making the Tuesday Tote, but we're making the add-on version, which is the drawstring version. Okay, so in order to make the drawstring version, you will need to have the original pattern for the Tuesday Tote, and then also you're going to need to have the weekend add-on pack, I think is what it's called. I'll leave the link in the description below so you can grab the patterns if you don't have them already. This is a really fun sew. It's really quick. It really can be made on a Tuesday night, just like it says in the pattern. I had so much fun making this. I want to say thank you so much to Shannon from Knotted Threads for allowing us to use your pattern on our marathon today. It's Marathon Saturday. I'm so excited. Okay, so this is one of the versions that I made. This one right here. I think it's so pretty. Anyways, this is not cotton. This is waterproof canvas. And then this is Thertex. So the drawstring casing up at the top is Thertex. And honestly, it worked out pretty great. So it's not as tight as you would get with cotton, but it's still pretty good. The bottom here is, what's it called? Butter Thick, I think is what it's called, from Wept and Warp Company. This is the first time I've ever used it, and I love it. I need more of this. The one I did in the video is this one right here. All right, so we've got Tulip Pink all up here. We've got some more vinyl down here, which the green is so much prettier in person. And then we've got the inside, which I didn't really add anything in there. It's just the lining. I think it would be really fun to add a mesh pocket to these. You can also add pockets or slip pockets or I forget what other things. I mean, you could do whatever you wanted on this really, but it's really fun, really easy. And this is the one we made in the video, as I said. So make sure you join us today as we sew different versions of the Tuesday Tote. I will have the Marathon Sewciety schedule linked down below. And if you can't watch us while we're premiered or live or whatever, that's okay. You can come and watch it later on. So I hope that you enjoy this video. Thank you so much for watching. And again, thank you so much to Shannon from Knotted Threads. Now, let's go ahead and get to sewing. Let's go over the pattern pieces you'll need to make the drawstring version of the Tuesday Tote. You're gonna need 2 cuts of the drawstring. I'm using 1/4 inch here. That's what she suggests to use for this, is 1/4 inch. She also said it's best to stay with this size. It does work really well. I've got 2 cut for the drawstring casing. There's no interfacing on these pieces. It is suggested not to interface. That way you can tighten this really tight and snug. I've got 2 pieces of vinyl for the bottom exterior panel. This is like the prettiest green. I think it's called Frankengreen. Yes, it's Frankengreen from mormino.com. It is so shimmery and so pretty in person. So if you're looking for green and shimmer, mormino.com. Okay, and then for this drawstring version is actually written to go with the option A exterior panel, but I did go ahead and cut pieces to make exterior B, but to make it fit exterior A. I hope that makes sense. So what I did is I've got 4 pieces cut for the side exterior sides, excuse me, and then I've got 2 cut for the exterior center, okay? And what I did was I cut my pieces. Again, there's four exterior sides here. And I cut the pieces according to exterior panel B. The width is the same that's written in the pattern, so I cut it out according to the cut list. Now, the only thing that's changed is the height. So I made sure that the height of my exterior panel, the exterior sides and the exterior center is the same height as the exterior panel for panel A. I hope that's not confusing you, but in the end, we want this panel to be the same size as exterior A panel. And once you sew these together and you have sewn them at the correct seam allowance given in the pattern, this should be the same size as exterior A panel. Okay. And then I've got two pieces here for my lining. I've already got my corners cut out. I am going to be using this for the label on the inside of the bag, since I'm not going to sew one on, because I'm going to be using a special label today. I'm also going to have this swivel hook on here. This is so that someone can attach their keys to it if they would like. The tag that I'm using today is for Marathon Sewciety. This is made from the Heartwood and Hide. If you haven't checked out the Heartwood and Hide, I really suggest that you go and check them out. They have so many options. You can also get some custom labels made if you'd like. They have some really fun ones out every Friday that are released for Fresh Tag Friday. Like I said, they're really fun, so give it a try. I'll leave the link down below. And then to do the drawstring to get them through the casing, I've got a paper clip or safety pin. Excuse me. I've got a safety pin, and then I have a loophole or loop turner. I always call this a loophole turner for some reason, but this little guy to help pull this through. And then I've got my ruler, because you'll make some measurements, and you can use an air erasing marking tool or a pencil if you'd like, a lighter to singe those thread tails, and then of course some scissors. And as always, a healthy supply of clips. And I think that's it for all the things that we'll need to make our drawstring bag. All right, guys, here we go. Let's go ahead and start off with our drawstring casings. You're going to have two cuts of this. Again, they should not be interfaced. We're going to flip these over so the wrong side is facing up. You will make 2 marks on each end of your drawstring casings. The measurements are listed in the pattern. I'm going to go ahead and set one to the side. What we're going to do is we are going to fold these raw edges in to meet that first line here. And then since I'm using cotton, I am going to use the iron to go ahead and get this as crisp as we can get this. Let that cool down a moment. And then we're going to take this folded edge here and we're going to fold it again to meet that second line that is drawn. And then I'm going to iron this down. We are going to do this for all 4 of your edges. Again, so we're taking this short end, folding the raw edge to meet that very first line that you drew. Gonna iron that down. I'll let this cool. And then we're going to take that folded edge to meet that second line that you drew. Iron this down. All right, so we should have this folded twice. So you've got this raw edge meeting that line. You'll iron that down and then fold it again to meet that second line that you drew. You'll go ahead and do this for the other side. So now what we're going to do with the drawstring casings is we are going to go ahead and top stitch each folded edge 1/4 inch away from the folded edge. So we'll go to the machine and then we will sew that down. So now we've got these edges. They are stitched 1/4 inch away from that folded line, or the folded edge, excuse me. Now what we're going to do is we are going to take your casings and we're going to flip these so that it is wrong side up. We're going to fold this in half. And then we are going to iron this. So we're ironing that in half, and we're going to do that for both of our drawstring casings here. So both of these are now folded in half. I am going to go ahead and just find the center of this really quick because we'll need to do that later. So I'm going to find the center of this raw edge here and just make a mark with a pencil. You could cut little triangles if you'd like to. Whatever it is you prefer to do. I'm going to mark both sides. The fold that I just made, a little crease, is probably good enough, but just in case, maybe the fold goes away or something. I still have my marks there. All right, so we can go ahead and set our drawstring casings to the side. So go ahead and grab the pieces to make our exterior top panel. Again, I've got 4 pieces. This is for the exterior sides and also the 2 pieces for the center exterior. I'm going to go ahead and grab one of my center exteriors. You'll need some clips. I'm going to grab 2 for each center. What we're going to do is we're going to layer center exterior right side up, and then we're going to take our side exterior and lay this down so that they are right sides together. And we're going to clip along this edge over here. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the other side and place this right sides down so they are right side together. Clip the edges here. And then we're going to do the exact same thing for the other one. So grab your 3 pieces, lay down your center right side up, grab one of your side exteriors and place it right side down so they are right sides together, and clip your edges. Sew down these 2 edges on both of our pieces at a 3/8 inch seam allowance. So each side here that is clipped is going to be at a 3/8 inch seam allowance. So let's go to the machine. All right, so now I've got my ironing mat out again, and then the iron is hot. Is it on? Yeah, it's on. Okay. So we've got both of these now. So what we're going to do is we're going to open these up so that the seam is behind the side exterior. So the seam is behind your side exteriors. And then we're going to iron this down on both sides. And then we're going to go ahead and top stitch, add 1/8 of an inch seam allowance along the seam behind those exterior sides. All right, so we've got these nice and pressed. We're going to go ahead to the sewing machine, like I said, and just top stitch down each of these edges here on the seam at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So now you have 2 external panels, and this should measure exactly what the measurements is that calls for the top exterior panel. So now you're going to go ahead and grab the bottom exterior panels. You'll need 1 exterior panel for the top and then a bottom exterior for, well, the bottom exterior. We're going to go ahead and clip those edges together. Go ahead and do the same thing for the other panel. So this should be right sides together, down at the bottom. We're going to go to the machine and we're going to top stitch this at a 3/8 inch seam allowance down at this bottom edge. All right, so now we've got our exterior bottom panel sewed onto the top exterior panel, again at a 3/8 inch seam allowance. So what we're going to do now is we are going to open this up. We want the seam to be behind your top exterior panel, not behind the bottom exterior panel, but the top. So go ahead and fold over that. I'm not going to iron this just because of the vinyl. I don't want to melt that. So I'm just kind of finger pressing the edge here, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the other panel. So again, we're just flipping this to where the seam is behind the top exterior panel, and I'm again just finger pressing this down, and then I'm going to go and top stitch this edge here at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance on both panels. Okay, so we've got both of our exterior panels all done. I went ahead and put on my tag. It looks really good. This looks really pretty, doesn't it? It looks so pretty. I love the green. Okay, moving on. Now you're gonna grab both of your drawstring casings. I've already marked the centers of both. Now I need to mark the center of both panels. So you do that if you haven't done that already. Okay, so you're going to grab one exterior and then one of your drawstring cases, and we're going to place the raw edge against the raw edge of the top exterior panel. So match up your center marks, and you want to make sure that your panel is right side up. And then you're going to line this up at the top edge here and go ahead and clip. We are going to baste this in place. Do that for your other exterior panel. All right, we're going to go ahead to the machine and baste our drawstring casing, or drawstring casing, together on the top edge here. Okay, so we've got our drawstring casing attached to our exterior panels. It should look just like this on both. Those look really good. We're going to go ahead and set these to the side and grab our lining. Okay, this is where you'll want to put a fun woven label if you'd like to, but again, I'm just going to use this. It has my logo on it, and it can be used, you know, to put keys on or whatever you need attached on there. All right, we're gonna make some marks. I'm just gonna make my marks on one of my lining pieces. You wanna grab a ruler from the top edges. It's gonna be 1 inch down from the top edge. You're gonna make a little mark. I'm gonna make a mark that's 3/8 inches in from that right side, and then you're going to go 1 inch down from that line you just drew, and this one I'm going to make this 1/2 inch in, because what's going to happen is you're going to start here at the top at 3/8 inch seam allowance, and you're going to come down, and once you get your needle into this top line here on the first line we drew, right at this very tip at the end of my line, I'm going to increase the seam allowance to 1/2 inch, and then you're going to keep it at 1/2 inch down at the bottom, down to the bottom, and then 1/2 inch at the bottom down here. And then on the other side it's going to be 1/2 inch, and then when you get to that first line on this side, which is 2 inches down from the top, you are going to decrease your seam allowance to 3/8 inch seam allowance all the way to the top. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just make my mark on the other side as well. And then down at the bottom, this is where you're going to turn your bag, so you do want to leave an opening here. 5 to 6 inches will be fine, but if you are using something really thick for the bottom, you know, go ahead and make your exterior or your opening wider, however you need it. So I'm just going to go ahead and do probably a 5 inch. I don't think I need it to be any bigger than that. And I do like to sew down to the edge here. It makes it easier to close it up. I'm just making this line because when we come to the bottom here to connect these edges, we're actually going to bring this up at the machine and meet the lines and sew that together. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so now we have our marks made. You can place this wherever you want to. I'm gonna do about 3 inches down. All right, now that everything is all clipped, let's go to the machine. Actually, before I sew the lining together, I want to go ahead and put our exterior panels together. So go ahead and grab both of those panels and place them right sides together. And what you want to do here is match up your seams first. And then you clip that together. I'm going to go on the other side real quick and match up those seams right there and clip those together. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and clip all 3 edges here. Okay, so when I go to the machine, I'm going to go ahead and stitch all 3 of these sides at a 3/8 inch seam allowance. And then while I'm there, I will go ahead and sew the lining pieces together. And again, remember the marks that you made. Those are the seam allowances that you're going to do on the lining pieces. So I just realized something. You know, I was supposed to connect these 2 pieces together before I did the sides of the exterior panel. I may need to go back and pick all my stitches out if I cannot open the seam down here at the bottom, because what we want to do is open the seam, and then we want to top stitch on each side. Yeah, maybe I can do it. Let me see. I don't know how I forgot that part, but I might be able to do it. Okay, I was able to do it. Now I'm going to flip this back over so it's wrong sides out. Match up my seams again on that other side, clip it together, and then clip the rest of my edges together and sew down the side at a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, so over here at the top, we started at 3/8 inch seam allowance right to that first line, and then we increased it to a 1/2 inch seam allowance, okay? So now we're at the bottom. I have come down at 1/2 inch seam allowance, and I still have my needle in. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to bring this other corner to meet the other corner. So you want your seam allowance to still be 1/2 inch. So your lines should be lining up, and then you'll just sew on. It is now time to box the corners of our lining pieces and also the exterior. I'm going to go ahead and start lining up the edges here with the lining, and you just want to, I like to kind of fluff this out as much as I can to get this to be flat and straight here. So I widen this up as much as I can, and then I'm going to match up the seam here. I'm gonna butterfly my seams here, so I'm gonna open them up. You don't have to open them. You could just nest them together if you want to in opposite directions, whatever you like to do. Okay, there we go. I'm going to clip this in place, starting right there at that seam. So this is what it should look like. I've got the seams open and they're together right there at the seam. So go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. We'll clip that together, and we're going to move on to our exterior pieces and do the same thing for that. Set this one to the side. I'm going to go in from the inside and spread this out. I'm going to do the exact same thing with the seam. I'm going to line up the seam here to match and open this up. Okay. And it's straight. I'm going to clip this together starting right there at the seam and clip it together, and do the same on the other boxed corner, on the other corner, to make it a boxed corner. All right. So now we're going to sew across this line, or across this edge here at a 3/8 inch seam allowance. I am going to be doing 2 rows here to secure or to add an extra row of stitching, just to prevent pressure on that first row of stitching. That way the stitches don't come through on the exterior. I will not be doing that on the lining. I'm just going to be doing 1 line. And again, that one's going to be at, I think that's at a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Now let me double check that. All right, so go ahead and grab scissors, and we're going to go ahead and trim down the lining. Right here, we just sewn to box our corners on both sides. About a 1/4 inch away from your stitches. All right. That looks really good. All right, yeah. We are down to the final assembly. So now what we're gonna do is you're gonna want to leave your exterior wrong sides out and go ahead and take your lining and pull this right sides out. We are going to stick your lining inside of your exterior, so they should be right sides together. And there we go. So that is inside. I'm going to go and grab a bunch of clips. And what we're going to do is you want to make sure that your drawstring casing is down, okay? It's down inside of your exterior here. Yeah, so down. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and open up those seams. And match them up. That together and go ahead and match your other seam here. Open those up. Okay, and now you're going to go ahead and clip around your edges here. You shouldn't have any bunching or anything. That should fit nice and snug in here along the top. So hopefully it's like that for you. Hopefully it's like that for me. We will see. All right, clipping along. Okay, we're going to take this to the machine and we are going to stitch this together at a 3/8 inch seam allowance. We will not be trimming down that seam allowance, okay? So let's go to the machine and sew that down. Okay, so go ahead and reach in. Grab that lining, pull that out. We're going to reach through this hole here that you made in the lining. And we're going to carefully pull our exterior out through the lining. That looks pretty good. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put the lining inside. I'll probably go and iron all this down just to get this nice edge nice and flat. And then we're going to top stitch the top at an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so I ironed the top. After I'm done with everything, I'll go back and iron this whole panel and everything, and the wrinkles in this, it'll eventually settle, so don't worry about that. But that looks really pretty. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and top stitch this top edge at an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Make sure that your drawstring casings are up and out of the way. You don't want to sew it down either direction, because then you won't be able to put your drawstrings through. So make sure they are up when top stitching. All right, let's go to the machine and get that top stitched. All right, so if you are happy with your top stitching, you can go ahead and close up that lining. I'm going to pull out my lining here. I'm going to poke out those corners. And because I sewed down on my lining, this fold just kind of happens naturally here. So you'll want to close that up, add 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. All right, go ahead and place your lining back inside. All right, so let's go ahead and grab our bag. If you're going to be using one of these loop turners, go ahead and grab one of those. And then a safety pin if you'll be using one of those. I will be using them. And then also both of your drawstrings that you'll be using. I'm going to insert this safety pin right through the top here, like so. Okay, now I'm going to grab this and we're going to pull it through. And it's kind of getting stuck somewhere. There we go. Okay. I'm just going to kind of pull this through. So I'm just bunching this up while also pushing this in, and then grabbing the safety pin with my other fingers. You could slide your loop turner through here and pull it through if you want to. Totally up to you. And then I'm sliding that here, trying to grab a hold of that safety pin, and we got it. So we're pulling that through. There we go. Oops, sorry about that. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and take the other end and slide it through our other drawstring casing. And again, I'm just pushing it through with my right hand and then pulling it with my left hand. And if it's easier, go ahead and grab your loop turner again, slide that through, grab a hold of that safety pin. I can kind of see through my cotton, since this is not interfaced. I can see where the loop turner is and also where that safety pin is, so that's pretty helpful. And I'm just going to gently slide this through. Okay, so we've got one through right now. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the safety pin, and we're going to place it into the other. So now we're going to take this other end with the safety pin attached, and right here where we have this loop of the first drawstring, this is where you're going to insert the second drawstring. Again, we're just pushing this through. This may be a little bit harder than the first one, just because we have that other drawstring in there. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this loop turner for some help. Slide that through, grab that safety pin, and we'll pull that through once I can grab it. If I can use my words, here we go. Oh, yeah, that's right, okay. I was thinking that was wrong, but that's right, because now we're going to insert the safety pin through the other drawstring casing. Here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my loop turner and slide it through that casing and pull it through. There we go. Okay, so this is what it should look like. You should have, I'll remove this real quick. Okay, so you should have 2 drawstring ends, okay? And then it should be looped around. So now you should be able to pull this closed, and then you've got this to pull it open. So there's enough space for your fingers to go through here and pull that open. So now you just close it up, and at the end, I've got tape here. I will remove that, but first I'm going to just do little knots, tighten that up on all 4 here. Okay, so I've knotted all 4 of my drawstrings, and what I'm going to do now is grab a seam ripper. I do like what Shannon has done on the her pattern, and also her method of doing this by just taking your seam ripper and just kind of getting those braids unbraided so that you get that fringed look. I probably could use the other side of this too. That works just as well. But I'm going to do this for all 4 of my drawstrings. And then at the end, I'm going to take some scissors and just make this a little bit nicer so that they're kind of straight with each other, just like so. Okay, so I'm going to do that, like I said, for all 4 of these. All right, guys, look at that. That is really pretty. This one is too. I really love how that came out. I love the green vinyl on the bottom. Which one do you like the best? Do you like the stripes with the, what is that? I don't even know what that center is called, but this was the first time that I had ever used butter. It's amazing. I was very surprised. I've been waiting for a long time to give it a try. Finally got some, and I love it. It's amazing. So Wept and Warp Co. That's where I got that butter. And then again, the green is from moremeknow.com, which is, it's both so pretty. It's both so pretty. Oh my gosh. They are both so pretty. I don't really know which one I like the best. They both turned out really well. All right, so the Tuesday Tote drawstring version is complete. Thank you so much for joining me today. I would love it if you would please subscribe to my channel and like this video. Feel free to share as well. Next up is Kathy with Cato Handmade. I will have the schedule for the Marathon Sewciety listed down below in the description. Thank you again to Shannon from Knotted Threads for allowing us to use your pattern on our marathon. I think that's it, you guys. I will see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye now.